Tyrese Halliburton. You've probably never heard about this guy, but today I'm just here to explain to y'all why this is the best player entering the NBA draft that no one is talking about. Tyrese was born on February 29th in 2000, so he is still relatively young. And with also being relatively young, he was born in Wisconsin, so he hasn't exactly always gotten a lot of attention. But now, this same kid is shooting up draft boards, and some even have him high as number 6. So who is this guy and what's his story? And to get to the bottom of that, we gotta throw it all the way back to where things started. Tyrese played his high school basketball in Wisconsin, where he grew up. And even though he hasn't always had this hype, he was always a pretty solid basketball player. For his junior year, he averaged right at 18 points per game. And in addition to that, he also pitched in 6 assists and 5 rebounds per game as well. He wound up leading his team to a 22-0 regular season record and was named All-State. So heading into his senior year of high school, people expected the same numbers and even bigger numbers out of him. And Tyrese didn't disappoint whatsoever. He increased his points from 18 to nearly 23 per game. Also adding to that, he also increased his assists to 6.2 and his rebounds to 5.1. But one of the most impressive stats is that he averaged 3.5 steals per game. That's crazy. Averaging 23 points per game is a lot. I don't care what level you are on. But if you don't think it's a lot, just listen to how efficient he was. He shot 67% from the field and 49% from deep. So it wasn't like he was getting 23 points off of jacking up shots. He was very effective with his shot making. And this same year, he actually shared the Player of the Year honors with Jordan McCabe. Even though he shared that record with Jordan McCabe, he won the Gatorade Player of the Year award outright. But going into the next level, he was only considered a 3-star recruit by many people. So he still wasn't getting a lot of attention that he probably deserved. But on September 18th in 2017, he committed to Iowa State. And even though he was going to a very solid program, not too many people expected much out of him. And for his freshman season, he still looked like your average freshman. He really didn't do anything special to separate himself or gain a lot of attention. There was one game, however, on December 9th where Tyrese had 15 points and 17 assists. His 17 assists were the most by any Iowa State player in a game in history. I guess you could say that was probably the biggest highlight of his season because he really didn't do anything else. For his freshman season, Tyrese averaged 6.8 points per game. And for a freshman, that's not too bad because he did more things than just score. He also pitched in right at 3.6 assists per game and 1.5 steals per game as well. So his defensive-minded attitude from high school definitely carried over to the next level. And at this point in time, no one even considered this guy getting drafted next year or even getting looked at. You gotta think about it. We're talking about a guy who was just a 3-star recruit in high school and only averaged under 7 points per game as a freshman. And do not get me wrong, those numbers are not bad at all for a freshman. But for what he's doing now, it's way different. And we'll get into that in a minute. Basically, for his freshman season, he was just a pretty solid role player. But going into his sophomore season, which is this season currently right now, his coach expected way more out of him. And for Tyrese, he is way more than just a role player this year. He is the main part of Iowa State's offense. We are almost exactly halfway through the year so far, and here are his numbers. He's averaging right at 16 points per game, and that is a huge increase from last year. But I don't even think his points are the most impressive part of his stats. He is averaging nearly 8 assists per game, and in college, that's crazy good. And of course, he's also pitching in 6 rebounds. But just like in high school, he's getting 16 points per game, but he's doing it very effectively. His field goal percentage has been around 50% the whole entire year, and his 3-point percentage is pretty good as well. His freshman year, he shot right at 43% from deep, and this year so far, he's shooting right near that at 40% as well. 40% for college and even the NBA, that's really good. And the one thing that is really scary about Tyrese is that he is 6'5" and 175 pounds. So in college, he could play anywhere from the point guard position to the small forward position. And maybe even the power forward if they really needed him to. But what has all these NBA scouts drooling at this guy is that he's 6'5" and 175. That is almost the perfect point guard build for the NBA. And with Tyrese proving that he can be effective with his shots and also be one of the best passers in the game, that is really scary for the NBA. It's not necessarily that he's averaging 16 points per game and 8 assists per game, it's just how effective he is doing it. And if you watch basketball or if you played basketball in your life, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. And oh yeah, we can't forget about his defensive side as well. He is averaging 2.7 steals per game this year. For college, that is unreal. This kid is literally the perfect point guard for the next level, and NBA scouts are taking notice. He is the definition of an all-around complete player, and he shows it every night. To find someone that puts up 16 points, 6 rebounds, and almost 8 assists per game, that's rare itself. But not only that, he also plays on the defensive side of the ball as well. That's really rare. But not only those two things, he's also doing it once again very effectively. And all around, Tyrese just has a overall smooth game, and you can see it each night. And a little fun fact to throw in there, he has a 7-foot wingspan. That's kind of crazy. So that probably answers your question on how he's so good at getting steals on the defensive side of the ball. In a couple of mock drafts, I've seen a lot that have him going number 6 overall to the Detroit Pistons. But of course, that could change. If this guy keeps improving every game and going into March Madness has a couple of crazy games, I could easily see this guy going in the top 5. Even if he doesn't though, I think it's safe to say he's definitely a lottery pick though. And whoever gets this guy, you could easily make a case and say this is the overall best player in the draft. Just from shooting wise, defensive wise, rebounding and passing wise, he's just a complete overall player. And this is just one of those stories you love to see and hear about. This guy went from a 3-star recruit to a freshman role player with very limited expectations. And now he's projected to go number 6 overall in the NBA draft. That is unreal. But like I said, this is overall just a great story, and it just goes to show that hard work definitely pays off and it gets recognized. Tyrese Halliburton. You've probably never heard about this guy, but now you have. And if I was you, I would quit sleeping on him. He's up now. But hey man, with all of this being said, that's about gonna wrap up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something. If you are new to the channel, what are you doing? Join the family, hit that subscribe button, and leave a like for more. And as always, let's be great. I'm out, y'all. Peace.